Did you hear the silence? In silence, I discovered a poem that changed my life, can empower you, and help change the world. You see, poetry has the power to speak to our hearts and our souls. Poems like I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing by Maya Angelou and I Too Am America by Langston Hughes have endured because they speak to our humanity. In 1985, an extraordinary event took place in Boston. A poem with only 21 words inspired a citywide multimedia public service campaign. It was put up on billboards, the mass transit, produced into a public service announcement, and aired on all 3 major TV stations. The campaign was so successful, it was duplicated in the most populated city in the US, New York City. And CBS and NBC network TV aired the PSA, so it was seen and heard across the country. I was amazed. You see, I wrote the poem, Are You Greater Than the Sun, that shines on everyone, black, brown, yellow, red, and white. The sun does not discriminate. I never imagined the poem up on billboards. You see, at the time, I was a receptionist at a radio station. I was excited about writing my first collection of poems, and this poem, I shared it with a friend of mine who happened to be a billboard representative. She was so moved by the poem, she said, Sarah, we could put this up on billboards. I couldn't believe my ears. I said, really? And sure enough, she put it up on billboards throughout the city of Boston. At the time, from 1974 to 1988, the Boston public schools were under court order to desegregate. That created racial tensions and violence throughout the city. And a leader from the Asian American community in 2020 remembered the poem and how it helped bring the city together. He also recognized the poem could help address the increased discrimination that Asian Americans faced in 2020. Now, what's remarkable about all of this? The poem was never meant to be public. It was written in a personal journal. I was on this journey to understand my Creator. In every church I went to, I experienced what Mother Teresa called the worst disease any human being can experience: being unwanted. No one said good morning. No one said one single word to me. As I'm riding the bus, it's a gray New England day, the sun broke through the clouds, came shining on my face, and I heard this voice say to me, Sarah, I don't just shine on you, I shine on everyone. And the Sun poem was born. It took on a life of its own. I realized after seeing it in these public service campaigns, it wasn't meant just for me. It was meant to be shared, put in a public space, so people could reflect on its words, because it has a message for each of us individually. Collectively, it reminds us that we're all a work in progress, and that despite our differences, the sun shines on all of us. We are all part of the family called the human race. It compelled me to write a book, design a workshop, even posters that got displayed in housing authorities and universities. One woman saw the poem on a 4-foot by 8-foot poster hanging in the YWCA, because their imperative is the elimination of racism. And when she saw it, she hated it. She hated it. Why? Well, the poem had opened up the wounds, brought back memories of being discriminated in Boston as an Asian American woman. And she realized over time that she had to learn to let go of the past and forgive. She learned forgiveness. And I thought of the thousands of other discrimination wounds that this poem could help. And I thought of the Middle East, how much forgiveness is needed there. So this led to the founding of World Unity, Inc. in 1994, to promote equality, diversity, inclusion through the arts, education, and innovative ideas. And one idea is also to build a landmark showcasing this poem. We are working with developers to realize that vision. The poem also inspired a song that was performed at the United Nations in 2015. And it inspired a program that continues to be shared across the US and beyond. The children loved the song. A teacher said when she walked into a classroom, half the students knew it. Why? Their siblings taught them. Can you believe it? Isn't that wonderful? Their siblings taught them. And one student commented, one day, the world will hear this song and it will stop discrimination. And a mayor who sang the song with his students, get this, what the negative was? He couldn't get the song out of his head. Couldn't get the song out of his head. And this song was even sung as far as Kenya and Namibia. Stories continue to be shared with me in unexpected places, like having Christmas dinner with my brother. And a guest turns to me and said, Sara, did you write that poem? I was stunned and I wondered, well, what did the poem do for her? Well, at the time she had aspirations of being an opera singer. The problem was she didn't fit the image, short and Asian. So she experienced a lot of rejection, a lot of discrimination, and she felt very demoralized and diminished. As she's riding the New York City subway, she looks up. She sees the poem. She's heartened that it's written by an Asian. And by the end of the poem, she said it boosted her confidence that she too deserves equality. It's stories like these that moved me to continue to share the poem with organizations and leaders. So in 2021, I reached out to the billboard industry. And 37 digital billboards got put up across 28 states in 4 months. Hey, that's pretty good, isn't it? And the president of one company said, keep up the amazing mission, Sara. The world needs this. Yes, the poem can ignite change. It can empower all of us to value ourselves and become more aware of our unconscious biases. We all have it. It's part of being human. But it impacts every sector of the community in cities across the globe. And in 2020, according to the American Public Health Association, 145 cities and counties across 27 states declared racism a public health crisis. Wow is right. Now let's think about this. So I ask you all, do you know of a law or a policy that can remove prejudice and bias from our heart? Doesn't exist. We have to remove it. Dr. King recognized we can pass all the laws we want. We cannot legislate the heart. The poem invites us to look in our hearts and face our biases without guilt, shame, or judgment. It can empower us to step out of our comfort zone and grow. As Einstein said, you cannot solve a problem with the same consciousness that created it. You must stand on a higher ground. When we are transformed, we can be leaders to help advance equality anywhere. And as Madame Curie once said, you cannot hope to build a better world without improving the individual. To that end, each of us must work on our own improvement. The children are counting on us to create a better world and to work together. So I invite you to think of the Sun poem as a tool to open up your mind and your heart and to empower you to be your better self. I invite you to reflect on these simple words. Are you greater than the sun that shines on everyone? Black, brown, yellow, red, and white. The sun does not discriminate. Thank you.